Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Best day of the week.
Early morning energy provided by this cup of coffee. What's up? Two beautiful people.
Will, you're on our side of the country right now.
Kind of. I'm on Central. I'm almost there. I'm halfway.
Okay.
I'm making my way in. But I have a special guest here in Nashville with me. If you guys don't recognize that
Mr.
face.
Book Direct himself.
Yep.
I've got the wrong coffee mug today.
Oh. Just a walking advertisement. For all the listeners, Mark Simpson is in the house. I'm here in Nashville for the STR Wealth Conference, and we are gearing up for a busy couple of days. It's going to be packed. I have the honor of emceeing with Julie George, and they have us working 6 a.m. to 7:30 at night. Like we're earning our keep here at this conference. That's for sure.
Yeah, 6:30 is an early start.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. The doors don't open until about like 7:15 or something like that, but we have to be there for all the sound, video, all the fun stuff. It's gonna be great.
Well, it'll be a good time. Tell everybody we said hi.
Yes, shameless shout out. HFM has a booth for any listeners. If you want to come to the conference, check out our podcast booth, get your time behind the microphone. That's always welcome. It's free, it's complimentary just for our people out there. So, and we got, of course, our amazing listeners that are always live with us. We have Tanner, we have Jeremy. It's an amazing day. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful Monday.
I love it. I love this positive attitude. I'm here for it.
Will's coffee was delivered right before the show started, so he's feeling good.
I know. I'm like, where's my in-person coffee delivery? Like, that's quite the service.
You just got to have the hype house of all the amazing, influential people in the industry.
The HFM house.
Yeah, the HFM house is what we're officially calling it. It's so good. How are you guys doing? How was your weekend? Your week last week? Give me some updates.
This is big news. I test drove a car. I hate cars, or not hate cars. I just don't care. And I'm like, I guess before I make a big purchase, I should actually sit in it. So
100%.
Well, the only other cars I've purchased they've just arrived. So I felt it was like, this is an adult move. So that was
Brandy. Are you going to get a car before I do? I'm going to be I need to step up my game. I have a lot of catching up to do. Dang it. Michael, how's your week?
I don't know how I'm on a podcast with two people that don't have a car.
Oh wait, I have a car. I have a car. I have. I'm just getting a new car.
Just
you can't
kidding.
live in Miami and not have a car.
Yeah, I was wondering how you guys function, but anyway, yeah, good, decent week last week. Good weekend. Hopefully a big week this week. Got a lot of moving parts. We officially announced Nook. So that is out of the bag.
Congratulations.
And the feedback has been really, really good. So Nook, similar to Story Collection, is a soft brand, but focusing on the outdoor hotel space. So if you're listening and you have an outdoor property, hit me up.
Let's say Tanner, Jeremy, anybody out there? I see you on the live comments. If you got any glamping sites,
many discussions with Tanner. Yes.
All right, Tanner. Oh, Tanner. I love it. Well, that's super exciting. Congrats to you guys. It's been fun to see things behind the scenes. I know I'll get to have Jake not only on podcasts on Slick Talk as a solo guest, but on a roundtable coming up, talking about the unique stay side. So for any listeners listening, can you just, I know you mentioned story collection. Can you give it a brief overall of like what that looks like from the operators?
Yeah, Storied Collection is a soft brand similar to Design Hotels or Relais Chateau, focused on castles and manor houses, where all of the properties, and similar to Nook, all of the properties are remote, fiercely independent, owner operated, and we are able to kind of sit in the middle, help build a brand around all of the properties, which ultimately everyone benefits from. So it's tough to build your own brand outside of your specific target market. And our goal is to, in both businesses, to drive more eyeballs in the areas that they wouldn't have otherwise been fishing for eyes.
I love it. And it's going to tie perfectly into today's episode. So I think we have a lot to talk about for the listeners. Before we jump into the main topic, we also have one other thing to announce and kind of share with you. Brandy, Michael, shall we reveal the secret, or how do you guys want to do it?
Drum roll.
Let it rip, Will.
All right. Good Morning Hospitality has officially maybe announced is launching our advisory group. So Good Morning Startups, I think, is the holding title for now. We may or may not debate changing it, but I like keeping everything in the Good Morning family. Good Morning Startups, we're looking for young, hungry entrepreneurs and startups that are in the travel and hospitality space to help accelerate their growth, and using our media and connections to make these startups become the next big names. So kind of the short and easy. It's pretty vague, but still.
Yeah, I mean, the impetus came from when we each had a number of companies coming to us asking to be advisors, and with Brandy's skill set as an operator, Will's skill set both as operator and media, and then mine as a vendor, and we've got
you also know everybody, so it's kind of
and all of our abilities to network and open up doors quickly and warmly. It just made sense for us to kind of combine forces, and we feel like any early stage company that wants to hit the fast forward button, we can certainly help out. So if you're interested, let us know.
Yeah, 100%. Go to goodmorningstartups.com. There's a place where you can contact us and work with everything there. So really excited. We're already working with a couple companies. Shout out to Sam from Bestie AI, who was a guest on the pod as our AI expert. Like a great first company to work with, and we have a couple others that we will get to share in the future. So super exciting. Brandy, you pumped to be an advisor? I am
now? Pumped. I like seeing
on top of everything else you're doing.
Yeah, in all the free time. No, but it's always fun to see kind of the next wave of people come through and what creative ideas people have, and if we can share any wisdom or provide any guidance, that's great.
100%.
We've all made lots of mistakes. We've learned a lot in our long time. It's almost 10 years for me, and Brandy, we met pretty early into it. So Will's the new kid on the block, but Will's probably the most known name in the industry at this point. So and then we'd obviously be able to help out from the media standpoint, helping get the name out there. So that's enough about us. So jumping into the topic this week, we talk a lot about OTAs, and there's been some pretty interesting moves and shifts and angles, approaches taken. Mark Simpson is a big book direct guide, but there are definitely benefits to working with OTAs. And before we jump into it, just highlighting some anecdotal evidence. This is kind of finger to the wind, but about 50% of hotel bookings come through the OTAs, whereas in vacation rentals, it's closer to 75%. So that's a huge jump, a huge step change in where the bookings come from, and that's a lot of money that goes towards the OTAs. Now, companies like Vrbo do a great job of government relations on behalf of their members. They're active. They've got a whole team that does just that. Their PR team is fantastic. They do a great job of building their own brand, and ultimately, the brand that we all kind of want to stand for. Airbnb is a PR machine. Jamie Lane's prediction is that they're going to be doing a lot more on the vendor side, which is scary if you're a vendor, but if you're an operator of 1 or 2 units, huge value add. So pros and cons kind of all the way down the line, but ultimately, I think the biggest reason why more bookings happen direct in hotels is people know the brands. They know Marriott, they know Hilton, they know Hyatt, IHG, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think you have that built, we've talked about loyalty programs and stuff on here like that. So you just have much more, there's just much more recognition. So you're getting that as well. And I think that only recently has there been, aside from maybe something like the mainstay sea and ski destinations that have somehow done like 100% direct forever, it's only recently has there been this like massive push to book direct in the STR space. So those numbers, that disparity makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's funny, Mark Simpson's here, obviously, and we're at this conference, and the official book direct day is actually February 7th. So like as we're here, it's just kind of an interesting, obviously, timeline there. But, it also ties into, Michael, what you're talking about with Nook and Storied. I think from a higher level as a brand or a soft brand even, you have the higher level view, so you can really approach distribution and like kind of channel management at a high level, but then you're able to break it down into segments or into geographic location or whatever. And I think with these OTAs, it's going to really, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see the consolidation. And Michael, I know you're passionate about this, is like the consolidation side from the marketing aspect as an operator, because it's like, in my brain, it's a whole new business, or not even just a business, it's a whole job position. If you're an operating company, like you need to have someone focus on that.
I love the book direct movement, but I think what it misses is the broader aspect of how people search. If you go to Destin every single year, you don't need an OTA. You can book direct, and maybe in markets like that, a pure play hyper local marketing source works. But if you're city center and you're competing with hotels, if you're remote, not in a tier 1 vacation rental market, it's hard to get eyeballs and it's hard to separate yourself. So you do need some through lines in that trust from the traveler, and it takes time to build it, but we've seen it happen time and time again on the hotel side, and there's zero reason it can't happen in the short-term rental side.
Yeah, I think the other part of this from a distribution side is that just the complexity of distribution. Anytime an OTA changes one tiny aspect of their requirements and their API, like all of the vendors that are attached to that has to come back out. There's a ton of back end work that has to be done. You have to be made aware of it as an operator, that you have to make certain changes. I mean, Airbnb is adding like crazy filters and all this stuff all the time. And I think that's another like part of this web, is that it's part of like I think where some of the breakdown happens in between the OTAs and operators, maybe where some of the friction comes through, because it's a very complex, complex operation. Obviously book direct, you don't have that. It goes from your direct site to your website. But that's, I think with Expedia, it's not a secret. There's been all sorts of huge back-end onboarding problems. So that just takes away, like that sort of lessens your desire to kind of want to work with them, or you're going to work with them, but it's not going to get your full attention. You know what I mean? It's when the process is more painful, it obviously creates more friction and less desire to cooperate.
Yeah. You either have to believe in it long-term, which I think we all know Expedia is going to be here as a serious player long-term. So you put up with it. Or it's a new brand like ours, and you put up with it because it's building and it's moving in the right direction. You've got kind of the ability to help navigate it with the other members. But then you've got others that have kind of been out there, haven't proven a whole lot. And I'll point to one company in particular here that's shifted back into hotels more than vacation rentals. You have the resources, you seemingly have the eyeballs, but if you don't have the ability to convert them, then people are going to lose patience with you. I don't have to say the name of the company. Will, I'm sure will, but
look, I'll just say this. Yeah, no, like and again, I'm trying to be respectful because I get it. Like, I always compare my business with Hospitality FM pretty similar to an operator, because we have a PMS, which is our hosting platform. We have distribution channels, like Airbnb and Vrbo, which is Spotify and Apple. And like, I get the whole business, and it's really hard because our business is, we do make profit and like revenue off of our advertising. And so like, if we don't convert those listeners, like that's, we lose business, because if a listener, whatever, it was a bad partnership or a bad product or whatever it was, that is technically on us. And so I get it. And like, it's really hard to now go after Hopper, which is the brand that you were just talking about, Michael, where it's, I feel like, I don't know, with that amount, like we're bootstrapped. So there's a different side. Like they're not bootstrapped. They have tons of money that they've been able to put into marketing. If they still can't take the money that they received and use that money and capital towards marketing and actually have conversions, that's where the issue is, I think. And so for me, it's just more of like, you have to really focus on, I think, again, it comes over to, I'm probably going through a lot of different points or rambles, but it comes down to quality over quantity right now. And I think we're seeing that more and more, especially as business is slowing down in the sense of like consolidation and venture capital and private equity, traction. That's just my thoughts and opinion. But
I think the three of us will attest, is probably everyone that's commented or is listening to the show, starting a business is hard. It's just an insane roller coaster. And it's almost 2 years now since I started Storied, and it's only getting, more and more amplified. So Brandy, I don't know if that continues to, the amplification continues
literally
to go up and down
indefinitely.
Great.
Until the day you're no longer doing
it. But yeah, I mean, it's not to bash any person, any company or anything like that. I mean, we're all out here trying to do our best. Some things work, some things don't, and that's okay. But it is to protect time and understanding. And I don't think relying 100% on Airbnb is smart. And I don't think relying 100% on Book Direct is smart either. So I think having a good, strong balance there in between the two, and Brandy's definitely a great voice for this. And then there's other really interesting channels coming through. Marriott's done a pretty good job in some markets. Amex is starting to get in the game. Capital One, I believe, is starting to get in the game. So, the ability to book stays, particularly vacation rentals or hotels for that matter, with credit card points unlocks just a huge amount of travelers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of having a pretty good and varied distribution mix, because I think the part of this that we were, the title of the topic, putting pressure on operators and how like OTA is trying to influence operators on how they run their business. And we talked about this with Airbnb earlier, but like, putting pressure on like the pricing. So obviously they can't control your pricing, but definitely making it well known that, they want you to lower your pricing and those listings will be featured more favorably. You have Expedia saying to their operators that they
hoteliers
that they have to have,
yeah.
Be matching their wholesale pricing and stuff like that. And I think it's like, so, I think from my perspective, you're the OTA, you give us all these eyeballs and you can run your business how you want to run your business. But then you can't tell me how to run my business when I have to make changes based on what you've done, because that's like, then that just, you just lose control over how you're operating your company. And so I think that if you not having a reliance on any one of them allows you to, jump between them. It allows you to not feel the ramifications of a policy change or something like that. But it is, you have to appreciate the eyes and the marketing dollars that these OTAs are spending. And they have to appreciate the fact that like the more they tell you how to run your business, the smaller and smaller those margins become, the less they're going to want to rely on you. And the more diverse mix, the more book direct push your operators and hoteliers are going to make.
See, to go off of that, I love that you just said that all, because it really does tie into, I think, like the message currently. And I love the OTAs just as much as anybody else because they do bring business, and I'm not going to like ever going to be 100% all book direct or anything like that. Like, happy with diversification on our channel mix, but right now the message seems to be that, hey, we don't care if you lose money as long as we are making money off of yours. So like basically Airbnb saying lower your rates, get rid of your cleaning fees, Expedia saying the wholesale rates, like you said, Brandy, all this stuff is just like, yeah, like do everything you can to get as much business from us so we have a cut, even if that means you have to sacrifice revenue off of your end. And I think that message right now is the exact opposite of what we want to see in the industry, especially from an operator to OTA battle. Like if that happens, in the sense like we saw it when Vrbo did their cancellation policy. When that happened, like how many operators had a pretty much a big freak out? Like there was a reason we had Tim Rizzolio back on the pod, was because there was a kind of a big backlash. And so I think having this open dialogue and conversation is really important, but also just making sure that, I think from a distribution standpoint, you have to really make sure that you're bringing the value and bringing the business. And obviously these are publicly traded companies for the most part, from Airbnb to Expedia, including Vrbo. So it's really hard because then they're really trying to, at the end of the day, please their board members and their investors. So
exactly.
Yep. And I think Vrbo's done a great job of, and they always have, at communicating the changes, and they'll stand in front of a crowd of people throwing Rotten Tomatoes towards the speaker. Like that company culture, I've seen that happen. Literally my first day in the industry was a Homo Waste Summit in Atlanta in 2014 or something. And I forget who it was on stage, maybe Carl Shepard or Jeff Hurst or somebody, but they were just taking heat and they took it, and people adjusted and got through it. And this is when they shifted from subscription to commission model. And Rizzolio took it when people had a lot of questions and explained why and the why behind it. And I think that might be where people's frustration with Airbnb comes to play, is we all continuously view Airbnb as, a distribution channel for operators. They're not. They're a distribution channel for hosts. And every decision they make is helpful to hosts. Hey, host, lower your prices. You'll get more bookings. Great. That's straight to their bottom line, because this isn't their core business. This isn't how they're making, in most cases, their entire income. This is a way to cover their mortgage or to pay off student loans. And those are the types of stories that Airbnb tells publicly, because that's what's important to them. It's not important how the margins are in a vacation rental business by using Airbnb. That's up to the operators to figure out how to use their platform and conform. Whereas, Vrbo kind of, I think, takes the other approach that they want their policies to reflect more of how a professional host operates than a single host. So it's okay. They target and market different folks, and it's why Airbnb's supply can grow at a faster rate than Vrbo's. But I think the sooner we all fundamentally understand that difference, the better.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're talking about any OTA that is a publicly traded company, like you are not the person, you are not the group that they are catering to. They have to answer to shareholders, and that's who they're creating value for. And so, Airbnb had something in earnings call saying like, okay, we're going after X growth in listings. So they don't care if you get a booking on that listing as long as you have signed up for that listing. And so it's kind of like, making sure, yeah, you understand kind of not being angry at the system necessarily, but then it does get frustrating when you don't necessarily have control over where your traffic is coming from, because on the traveler side, Airbnb is, everywhere. And I mean, I've said this before, like I use Airbnb all the time as a traveler. It's usually my go-to to start my research. And so you're like, okay, I don't want to rely on them all the time, but that is where all this traffic is coming from. So it's like, how do you convert that? But there are some things, it's not just the hosts that are getting sometimes the short end of the stick. Last week or the week before, Airbnb announced that they were adding currency conversion fees to their international bookings, and that's being paid by the guest. And so you're like, there's going to be a certain percentage markup if you're going to London and you want to pay in pounds. You as a traveler are going to have to start paying that. And I'm curious to see if that will be just bundled into like the fees, because when you just see like one giant fee, like that could be a damage waiver and your cleaning fee, and now it's going to be the conversion fee, and they won't break it out for you. So that's another line. And that's also an interesting distribution piece. Like, how will that feed back in to all the PMSs when you have to try to like match what all these invoices look like? And if guests get upset, like who's refunding that currency fee because we obviously didn't receive it? It's all this. I'm sure there will be some things we talk about later in the year once this kind of is flushed out.
Well, I was going to say, I'm surprised we weren't about to get like part 2 Brandy rant, maybe. Like, come on now, like you're rolling. But it's also like I also kind of want to bring up the point we chatted before getting on the actual recording. But the elephant in the room is Google, and they kind of made a big wave doing VRMA, and we also saw a kind of interesting article a couple months ago where basically not Google, but Expedia has paid X amount in advertising to obviously search and rank higher. But as the time goes on, they're getting the same amount of traffic for the higher or 10 times higher spend. And so I think this is also a thing where I think the reason why Expedia comes out and says, hey, hoteliers, watch your wholesale rates so that way we are able to get like come in there and like not get black marketed basically, is because they're spending 10 times as much marketing dollars than they were ever before, and they're getting the same amount of traffic. So that trade and that obvious like conversion is not ideal. That impacts their margin, impacts everything on their revenue side and their P&L. And like you and I both said, Brandy, they're trying to please their board members. So their board members, if they see this, especially on a public news site, like, okay, something's not adding up. We need to make sure that we're cutting this, or we're making sure that the hoteliers aren't doing that, blah, 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 blah. So it's a very interesting play to like see Google kind of make a splash. And I kind of wanted to ask you the question, like, what are your guys' thoughts on Google and the role that they're playing with the impact on the OTAs? Because what Google does to the OTAs will ripple down to the operators and so on and so forth. So I would love to kind of open up that dialogue.
Yeah, well, the thing about Google is also Google is the aggregator of all information. So regardless of whether it's, like their specific vacation rental booking situation, they can control whether they, will blatantly say or not, like who is ranking where. And so that, I think that to me is kind of the more maybe threatening part of it, is that control of information and ad placement. I mean, if you're not on page 1, no one is seeing you. If you're not even in the top, no one is seeing you. And so I think that's a component that's really, I know, interesting. And that's something that Google's being poked at across different regulatory bodies, is that their total monopoly on the data, basically. But I think something actually that's interesting about Google for bookings that isn't directly their Google VR platform is using map pins. And so that is actually where you can get more traffic rather than, and that just takes them directly to your website. So you're getting that direct booking, and you're also leveraging the power of Google search. So I think that is really the big winning combination there.
And until someone at Google hears this podcast and changes everything, because like, oh, they found a loophole. Let's get them back.
I mean, do you want to sponsor us, Google?
Yeah, come on, Google. I do, like, Michael, unless you have anything to add, I know we have like sometimes for any listeners and live viewers, right? Like, I think sometimes it sounds like we could be bashing and coming at the OTAs. We do know the value they bring. So always try to stay like, we don't like want this to be a bash session all the time. We do have concerns that we bring up. I do want to shamelessly plug Wimstay. I've been really impressed with them as an OTA. I think like, especially if you're a smaller operator, it's good to start playing around with these different channels. And that's one I've been impressed with, not only for our management company, but with a couple others I've talked to, like in Colorado and etc. It's nice when an OTA is clean and is a good product from like a user experience, and then also is really like actually driving traffic. So really just want to give them a shout out. I'm going to be seeing them at the conference this week, so be nice to say hi. But speaking of people and shout outs, we forgot to really give a really good shout out to our sponsors at Sojo. So if you haven't already, you got to get your amenities. I saw a comment in the live questions about where people are like getting their items from and procurement. And so I think, shout out to Sojo. You get 30 days free of your amenities. And if you have 50 properties or more, then guess what? You get amazing branded amenities. And to also plug Max, who is also here in Nashville, who I'm trying to get lunch or dinner with or something here soon. He also said last 2 weeks ago on the pod that the truth takes the stairs. And shout out to
exactly. That was exactly what I was going to say. I've seen other people mentioning that on LinkedIn, and I was like, I love that phrase. Like that really has stuck with me.
Max, we're making a t-shirt just for you, buddy, that has that on there. You're going to get a GMH hat that says truth takes the stairs. It's going to be great. We're going to capitalize on that opportunity.
We've been promised our own slogan shirts for a while now. I'm sure they got lost in the mail, Will, but
No. Good. Waiting for these samples. I'm trying out some local shops in Denver, and I have some coming to the house. And then once I try them and make sure they're good, then you guys, only the best quality for you guys. You know that, right? I'm not sending you cheap stuff anymore. Only the best
anymore.
Or the best.
This one, good GMH. So to wrap up, love the engagement today. It's been a lot of fun. It makes it a lot more fun for us as well, being able to come up with discussions on the fly and get everyone's feedback. So keep it up. We're live every Monday, same time, same place.
Yep. And if you're in the hotel side, Jeremy, I know you're on there. So if you're on the hotel crew, every Wednesday, check them out. Steve and Sarah are amazing. Best second addition to the pod. The first best was obviously Brandy and Jamie. So can't go wrong there. But really excited for this week. Anything exciting for you guys before we move on and wrap things up?
I'm dealing with a lot of permitting this week. So that's fun. I love dealing with multiple government bureaucracy. It's fun.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting.
Cool.
Love it.
Well,
Michael?
Everyone have a great week. Enjoy STR Wealth.
Will do. Make sure for all the listeners on the replay, during the live, et cetera, check out the podcast on your favorite listening platforms. Like and subscribe. It does help. Trust me, it does. And if you're interested, Good Morning Startups, goodmorningstartups.com. You can check it out there. And like always, we'll see you guys again next week.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.